So, you want to print my Monster Hunter Rise bone axe, now do ya? Well, so do I! All jokes aside, I know I usually have the thing to present at the intro of the video, but I don't this time, and here's why. So about a month back, Maker World announced the Becoming a Hunter contest, and while it's not officially a Monster Hunter themed contest, probably because they didn't have the IP or whatever, it's pretty clear that it's supposed to be, so I thought I would challenge myself and create a real live 1-to-1 scale model of a Monster Hunter switch axe, which, if you don't know, is a type of weapon with two blades attached to the handle that can switch from like a storage mode to an axe mode to a sword mode. And I, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to try to get that done within the time frame that I was given. Now, I thought I was on good pace. I finished the model itself and had it all sliced up 10 days before the end of the contest, and I thought that would be enough time to print it out, but I was very wrong, because it turns out if you're trying to print a weapon that is over 2 meters long, like this is like half the parts right there. Only half. So essentially the bottleneck right now is that I have a singular printer trying to print out all of these pieces as soon as possible. So I'm trying to do everything that I possibly can to make everything else surrounding the upload, like the instructional video, while that thing is still printing out. And along those lines, while I have made miniature versions of every mechanism that is found in the axe, and they all work, I haven't tried them at scale. So I have no idea how effective this switch axe will be, if it will even work at all. Who knows, it might break under its own weight. So I'm going to try my best, and this is going to be an experiment more than anything. Worst case scenario, it can't support itself, and then you just have an interesting decoration piece for your wall, albeit a giant one. Best case scenario, it actually kind of does work, and you have a functional switch axe. So, let's get started. First things first, though, you're going to have to print out all of the models. And like I said, it's really complicated. It's huge, so I had to cut it up. There's over 100 pieces, so I didn't even bother trying to export every single individual STL file. It's just one big thing. Along those lines, I recommend that you just download the 3MF. Everything is already named and already split up, so you don't need to worry about what is what and how to print whatever. Basically, the idea is that the handle of the actual weapon is 15% infill to be tough, so that it can actually support the rest of it. And all of the pins as well are 15% infill, so that there's a strong connection between all the pieces. But other than that, everything is 5% infill, so that it can be as light as possible. Also, in organizing all of these pieces, I highly recommend that whenever you print a plate off, before you pop all the pieces off of the plate, go back to the 3MF, check the name of all of the bodies on there, and write down the name of every single part on a surface that you won't be able to see when it's all done. Pegs like this, all these square things, will not be visible at all. That's why you can print them in any color, like orange. And then with any other piece, any edge that has these diamonds on it will not be visible at the end, so you can write it there. And speaking of pegs and surfaces like this, the primary way that you're going to build this model is by taking surfaces like this, putting pegs inside them, and then taking other surfaces like this, and then putting those pegs in there. Bada bing, bada boom. And I'm going to obviously glue these down so they're nice and snug, so I'm not going to force them together just yet, but that's the basic principle. Every single one of these pegs has a 0.05 millimeter tolerance on every side, so they're meant to fit in nice and snug, if you can hear the popping as they come out. But they're still meant to be able to fit in. So you might need to do some pushing or whatever, but they should fit in. Also, to make sure that everything is nice and strong and rigid, I will be applying glue to every single one of these surfaces, putting them in, and then also gluing these surfaces together so they fit nicely. But I will not be... Oh my god, this is huge. Look at that. That's the end of the sword. Anyway, but for the sake of time, I won't be showing that part on video. I will mostly just be doing this sort of thing and then cutting to where it's actually put together. So that's what it looks like when you put it all the way. Although, I'm going to have to take this apart now so I can actually put glue in it. That wasn't very smart. But as you can see, there's kind of some play in there. And when you get really long bodies, you don't want that. So, gluing it is ideal. As you can see, it takes some force to get them together. So, so maybe put the glue in before you squish them all the way. Now you, so normally I would recommend dry fitting to make sure the parts fit together properly before you try gluing it. But, turns out my tolerances were a bit too perfect so that you can feasibly and without too much difficulty put the pegs in the holes. But, taking them back out to put the glue in is a bit more difficult. So, maybe just trust the process and put the glue in first. Okay? Yo, quick editing Carl here. There is a PDF within the files that you can download from wherever you download this from. And those do contain little diagrams that show exploded views of parts and how to actually fit everything together. I don't think it would be good to use solely without the help of the video as a guide, but that is something that I definitely recommend using. Okay, first step on our journey is to build the handle. So, you're going to have the pommel, the end handle. Oh god, the mid handle, and the body handle. All right, and the pins we're going to use, we got to be careful, because usually when pins have the same name with every other instance of this, they're the exact same size and length, so they're interchangeable. The one exception to this is handle pin 1 is slightly shorter than handle pin 2 and handle pin 3. So handle pin 1 connects the pommel and the end handle, like that. And then glue it, put it together. Handle pin 2 connects the end handle, this part of the end handle, to this part of the mid handle. Again, glue it, chunk. Handle pin 3 goes in here. Handle pin side 1 goes in here. And both of those go in here and line up. Chunk. And then, so handle main thick goes in here, and handle main thin goes in here and here. And then, of course, you got to remove all the support material. Okay, so I'm going to glue it together, starting with these. Hold on. And then one more finishing touch before I forget. The handle design, I chose to do white on gray, but you can do whatever. Has this little handle design pin, goes in there, and then the top pops on like that. And then once you're done with that, this slit here fits on there. Now, importantly, there is no slit here. Just glue that on there directly. Okay, I'm really tired, so I'm going to let that dry overnight. But one thing I did want to point out is that this part of the decoration should not pass beyond this plane here. Something is going to come down this slot and slot in perfectly right there, so we don't want anything obstructing it. Okay, next up, we're going to start working on the switch. Now, we're not going to use switch 1 or switch 6 yet. We're going to glue switches 2, 3, 4, and 5 together. Now, it is very important that you get the correct orientation. Switch 2 should have the long side facing out. For context, it's going to fit into the handle in this orientation. So make sure the long side of the switch is on this side, Switch 3 can be oriented in any direction. Switch 4 should have this angled side facing switch 3 and 2, and this flat side facing switch 5. Switch 5 can be done in any orientation. So we're going to be using thick switch pins to glue and connect all of these together. You can glue in the end ones right now. I wouldn't recommend it because you might get glue squeeze out that dries and then prevents you from putting the next piece on. Now just a reminder, switch 2, long part goes this way. Switch 3, doesn't matter the orientation. Switch 4, sloped part close to switch 3. 90-degree edge close to switch 4. Switch 5, orientation doesn't matter. Now this is all glued together with the thick switch pins. And we wait. Give a little sneak peek as to why this thing is called the switch. Basically, how the entire mechanism works is you will push and pull this thing through the core of the actual axe, and it will use the grooves on this to push latches in or out of the way, which will allow the pieces to freely move. Once the glue is dry, we can start putting it into the main body. This is the main body 1, and if you look here, you might be wondering, why does it look like you melted a hole in the piece with a soldering iron? Well, it's because I melted a hole in this piece with a soldering iron. And the reason why I did that, well, I'll just show you. So basically, the main body 2 is oriented like this. So this nubby is facing away from this indent here. And you slide the switch in like this. And that's why there's a hole here. When you actually make it, there will be an actual piece here that you will then glue into place to block this in here. But I am going without for the time being because it's not a crucial piece, it's just helpful. Now, if you don't like the idea of the switch just kind of dangling like this, you can take the main body 2 and then slide it in there so that, it has some support. Okay, so now that this is stuck in here, we can put the switch 1 on. So basically how this is going to work is we're going to put this in here and this in here so that this knob thing is facing this. So now the main body 1 here is trapped on here, but the switch can still move freely. So I'm going to glue this one on. But if there's any squeeze out at all, you need to be sure to wipe it away so that 1, it doesn't dry on the outside and block its ability to go inside the main body, and 2, it doesn't get on the main body and glue it together. For all intents and purposes, the switch is a completely separate part than the main body. It can move all on its own. Okay, now that that has dried a little bit, we're going to take our completed handle assembly and we're going to join it up with the main body 1 here. Again, we're not going to get any glue on the switch itself. So we're just attaching this body to that body, and that's it. So there's 3 pegs that need to go in each other. So what I'm going to do is line up all 3 pegs first. And then I'm going to start applying some glue around here. You actually are going to get to see me glue some stuff this time. Some glue along the sides of the pegs. Going to be very careful not to get anything on the switch, because again, that doesn't need any glue. Okay. Ta-da! And I'm just going to push it together. Keep a nice seal. I really wish I had a clamp. If I had multiple clamps, I would clamp here and here. Can't really see it, but. Now, this was subject to a bit of warping here, so I'm going to fill these cracks in with some JB Weld. Okay, I understand that the angle is not the best, but next we're putting in the switch ring and the thin switch pin. So what you do is you put this in here, and then in the handle, this is flipped over, so this is the design right here. We just insert that all the way in. Shunk. And then we'll glue that in, okay? Okay, next up, we're going to get to the meat of things. We're going to do most of the body. So we've got the handle and body 1 all glued up, but we're going to put bodies 2, 3, and 4 on right now. And to do that, obviously we need the bodies themselves, but we need the main 1, 2 pins. There are 5 of them. Don't mind that this is another color. The main big left pin, and those are going to connect bodies 1 and 2. We're going to need the scroll in that attachment. And we're going to need body 3. And to connect body 3 to body 2, we're going to need the 4 main 2, 3 pins. And then, in order to connect body 3 to body 4, we're going to need the main long pins, 4 of them. Afterwards, we can put in the last 4 main long pins in preparation for the next thing we're going to glue in. But without further ado, essentially, the scroll goes on like this, fits right on there. And then we're going to take body 2, main body 2, which is this squat one, and we're going to put it, all the way through the switch. And that's going to attach on right there once we have inserted all of the main 1, 2 body pins as well as the thick one. So before you put main body 2 on, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pins and the scroll, okay? And just for illustrative purposes, here's the main body 2. In order to put that to the main body 3, we're going to insert these pins and then put the main body 3 on. And then to put the main body 4 on main body 3, again, we'll put 4 pins in there. And then we're going to put main body 4 on. Now, when you're putting main body 4 on, it looks very much symmetrical. But you can kind of see on one corner, there's a little tiny divot. I'll take a picture and throw it on screen there. You want to match that up with the divot on the main body 3. Honestly, that was just an artifact of creating this and making a little mistake and trying to cover my mistake. But you want to line that up just in case I made any more mistakes and it's not symmetrical. So let me glue this all together and then I'll show you what the final thing looks like. Now, if you choose not to glue the final pegs in, you can stand it up like this and use its own weight to press the joints down. So I recommend doing that. Okay, now it's time to make the axe. And I'm scared because this is really big. I could barely get it all on camera. But anyway, here's how the axe is kind of laid out. There's 3 strata here. There's the outer axe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The inner axe, this is inner axe 1, 2, but 3 and 4 and 5 are split up into 2 pieces. Here's the inner upper axe, the inner lower axe 3, inner upper axe 4, inner lower axe 4, inner upper axe 5, inner lower axe 5. And then there's the axe holder, which is made up of the top 1, top 2, top 3, and then below it, the bottom 1, bottom 2, bottom 3. Now you may be tempted to just build the entire axe blade and then build the axe holder and then put them together, but do not do that. They won't actually fit together if you try that. Instead, we're going to build them vertically. So we're going to attach all of these pieces, all of these pieces, and all of these pieces. Now it's a little confusing. The top and bottom 1 attaches to the inner and outer axe 2. The top and bottom 2 attaches to the inner and outer axe 3. Oh my god, inner and outer axe 3. The top and bottom 3 attach to the inner and outer axes 4. You get the idea. Now, in order to glue these together, we're going to be using the axe holder pins. to attach the top and bottom of the axe holders to the inner axe. And then we're going to use the fat axe pin to attach inner axe 2 to outer axe 2. And then we're going to use mini axe pins 1 and 2 to attach the inner upper axe 4 and inner lower axe 4 to the outer axe 4. We don't want to worry about 1 or 5 right now. Keep in mind you cannot attach the inner upper and lower axe 3 to the outer axe 3. There's no pieces right there. That's fine. I didn't forget anything. By the time we're done, it won't matter. So to remind you again, we're going these all together, and these all together, and these all together. We're not attaching them to the side yet. Oh my god. I have almost committed a grave mistake. Never mind, I'm fine. Okay, and now that you've got all this glued together, now we're going to stick these 3 pieces together. Now, we're going to use all 8 of the long axe pins. And we're going to put them in like this, in all of these 8 holes. Okay, now that we've got each of the vertical strata glued together, we're going to use the 8 long axe pins to stick these guys together. Now, how we're going to do that is, if we've got 2 and 4 kind of on the non-even sides, we're going to put all of the axe pins in like this. Whoa! I'm going to pick that up later, but you see what I mean. And then we're going to stick outer axe 3 chunk, in the middle of them. Now, I recommend you take all the pins out and then line up the pieces properly, because if you try to stick it like this, okay, that doesn't line up. But if you do it like this, you can see, okay, that does line up properly. Make sure you're sticking the correct side on, okay? Almost forgot, the axe holder pins, all 8 of them, use them as well. Oh my god. All right, back to gluing. Now, when you're putting these together, don't be afraid to really lean into it. You don't really want to use a hammer, because that might damage the surfaces, hypothetically speaking. I'm not saying I used a hammer, but one thing you can do is lean into it, and it should be better that way. Okay, so this is the whole thing. So far, there's a few more adjustments to make. I'm not going to lie, I did go a little too rough on it, and it did split right here. So in the final actual part, the tolerances will be a bit bigger for the pins so that you can fit them in easier and you don't have to do as much hammering and slammering as I did. I mean, I didn't hammer anything. What are you talking about? Another thing you can see is, unfortunately, it seems that this separated a bit and then the glue dried. So this is going to be permanently cracked like that. And there's really nothing I can do about it. But the good news is, this shouldn't affect the actual operation of the parts. Okay, next step, we're going to take our short axe pins, all 8 of them, and we're going to attach the side pieces here. So, by the way, when it's oriented like this, this is the upper side, the top. So the inner lower axe 5 is going to go down there. The inner upper axe 5 is going to go up here. The outer axe 5 is going to go here. This is flipped from the orientation I had it before. The inner axe 1 is going to go here, and the outer axe 1 is going to go here. Okay? So yeah, just as usual, put the pins in and then glue them on. Keep in mind, sometimes they do stick really far in on one side and only a little bit out on the other. Like in the case of this, it only goes in this far on this piece, but it goes in really far on that piece. So don't be too alarmed if that happens. Now, finally, one last little trivial thing to do. We've got the top slider and the bottom slider. And what we're going to put them is in their respective top and bottom slots right there. Obviously, we're going to glue them in, but yeah. All right, while that axe is drying, time to deal with the main body 5. Now, this is the bottom. This is entirely assembled. So we're going to practice with the top. So this is the main body top 5. This is the top latch. This is the top pulley. And then we're also going to need switch 6. And if you didn't glue in the thick switch pin to switch 5, then we'll need that as well. So, to run over what the heck is going on, here's the idea. There's a hole in the end of the switch 6. We're going to be putting a string in the end of this hole, tying it there, and what that's going to do is, it's going to attach like this, and when we pull on the switch, it's going to pull on the string. And what pulling on the string does, you can kind of see it here, the pulley turns the lateral motion into up and down motion, and it pulls on the latch. So I flip it over, and you can see the latch right here. If I pull on the string, it pulls the latch down. And later we're going to slide the axe into here. So it's going to slide here, bump up over this part, slide in here, and get locked in place. But then, when we pull the switch, ka-chink, that's going to pull in and let it slide backwards. So that's our goal. So if we're doing it with the top, the first thing that we want to do is cut off like, I don't know, 10 centimeters or so. This is a lot more than 10 centimeters, but you can always cut it down. You can't really add more. So, a good length of string, and then we'll tie it into here. Might help to have a pair of pliers or something to get in there and grab it. There we go. So we can just tie like a square knot or something. Be very thorough with whatever knot you choose to do. You might even want to glue it down later just in case, because once we seal this thing up, I mean, we're going to be gluing it into place, so that's all she wrote. So maybe double, triple knot it if you want to be extra sure. Bada bing, bada boom. So now we got all this tied up. This side is the end, the tip of the switch axe. This end goes towards the handle. So we want the indented end to go towards the handle. Now, luckily for you, as long as you have the top piece on the main body 5 top, you can't put it in the wrong way. I have put foolproofing there so that it only slides in one way. And it should slide in relatively easily. You should have gotten all the supports and stuff out there. And then we're going to take a rubber band. This one's a little too big, so we're going to need to double it up. We're going to put it through the string, or put the string through it. So now the string is through it. Now, kind of hard to show you here, but our aim is to wrap it around this thing, okay? I'm using this little punch-awl to kind of thread it through. There we go. So now, when we pull up on it, the rubber band keeps it in place. Now we're going to lay the string out towards the end, and we're going to take the top pulley, and we're going to put it in so that this side, the side that's on the edge, the side where the bar is on the edge, faces towards the handle. Now again, as long as you're using the top, you can't mess it up. It doesn't fit in the wrong way. So we're going to push it in here, and we're just going to push it down exactly until it's flush. So you can see the arm is flush with this, and the top is flush with this rim here. And the reason why we want to do that is because when this thing comes sliding in, we want it to slide over. We don't want it to interfere. But when it goes sliding out, we want it to be able to pull on it. So we just got to glue that here. Now, let me grab the main body, This is going to be the trickiest part. Hold up. So essentially what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be figuring out exactly where the switch 6 will be when we push the switch all the way out and then all the way back in. And then based off of that, we'll figure out how long this needs to be. Now, I'll just show you what's going on. So I'm going to reach all the way back to the switch ring and push it all the way out. So this is as far out as it can go. And then we're going to line up the main body 5 top here and figure out, okay, that's as far as it goes in terms of all the way out. Okay, that's fine. Everything's working so far. Then we're going to push it all the way back in as far as it can go. And then we're going to stick the switch 6 in there all the way. So the main body top 5 is flush against the main body 4, and the switch is pressed all the way in. Now, it's looking about good. You can see this flat part here. This edge of the flat part is flush with this gap, which is exactly what we want. So we want to figure out, okay, if we pull this all the way up as far as it can go without physically removing the pulley, where would that be compared to the switch? Now you got to kind of eyeball it. I'm going to mark it there. So now that I've got this mark here, I want to tie it so that this mark is exactly on that switch. Because here's the thing. If we have too long of a string, it's going to pull all the way back, it's going to be loose, and it's not going to do what we need it to do. But if we have way too short of a string, it will yank the pulley out and break the mechanism if we try to pull it all the way back. So we want as short a string as possible without going over. I hope that makes sense. Now, normally this is the part where I just say, oh, well, you know, I'll do the next part myself. You can figure it out. But let's redo that. We'll put this thing up here, press it all the way in, and if we pull on the string such that it's pulled all the way up, we can mark about there is where we want to tie it up. Okay, and then we take the switch back out, and now we're just going to tie the string, both strings, through the loop on the end of the switch 6. So there we go, right at that black dot. Double, even triple knot it. I'm probably going to put a dab of JB Weld on there later when I tie both of these just to lock them both in place. And now if I pull it back, boop, will it work? Ooh. See it? We got to check this. Stretches a bit. That doesn't seem good. In order to pull it off, we need to go all the way down there. Nope, nope, nope. That's not what we want. See, this is what we want. We pull it backwards such that this edge meets that. Boom. And this gets pulled up. We push it this way. It's fine. It can move all the way that way. We pull it back. Boop. Opens it up. All right. Now let's do it for the other one. Now this is rather awkward because it is attached to the other one. So you're going to have to do a little bit of a funky rig like this when you're testing it, but I believe in you. Okay, so now that you got all that tied up, for the final test, you should be able to sandwich the top and the bottom. Now, this is the top, okay? What the? Okay, for the final test, you've got them both tied on. This is the top. Sandwich it on here like that, and we're going to take that out, and we're going to pull it back. And if we pull it back to where it was before, like if we pull it back, boop, we can get the latch to come down. And then if we flip it over and we pull it out all the way back, the latch comes down, and that's a success. That's how we know we've done it right. And now that we've done this, before we glue it actually onto the main body, the main apparatus, we need to fit the axe in there. So wait until it's completely dried before you do anything. Okay, now that this is done, not glued together or anything yet, but, you know, if we pull the switch it does do what it needs to do. So we'll set that off to the side for now, somewhere. Oh God, and now, next up is the most scariest part. Putting, this guy on. So here's the axe. We're gonna slide it into these channels here on the end. Okay? So essentially, these sliders are going to slide in there. Hopefully they're the right distance. And the blade of the axe is going to go the same direction as the spikes over here. So the blade of the axe is going to come down and cover up the spikes. I guess when you're hunting, you need to be safe. So, how am I going to get this on camera? I was going to put it on from the top, but it's literally, my ceiling is too short. The handle runs into the ceiling. Okay, so let's just do it flat like this, I guess. Ugh. Thank God I used JB Weld. Oh, shoot. Please don't fall over. Alright. Let's slide her on like this. Why are you cracking? Whoa! So you should, theoretically, be able to slide this all the way down. And if there's something blocking in it, you can pull the... Hard to show you right here where my fingers are. You can pull the ring, the switch ring, all the way down. So there we go. There you have it. Now, if you slide it all the way down, you should be able to slide the switch ring up to block it in place. It might take some finagling, though. Wow. Holy cow. I mean, technically it works. It's a rather tight fit, but it works. Okay. So the idea is that this can slide freely up and down the track, but just due to how heavy it is, like the weight is providing enough force to increase the friction that it doesn't look like that will actually happen. So we'll see how the final thing works out, but let's continue. Okay, next up is the sword. Pretty simple here. We have sword 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sword blades 1 through 6. And then we'll attach them together with 5 sword pins. One of them I already tried to dry fit and I couldn't get it out, so oops. Those will go together via these holes. And then afterwards we have sword holder 1 and 2. Sword holder 1 is the one with the nubby. It's going to be towards sword blade 1. So it's going to be facing towards the tip. And so as long as you build it the blade first and then attach the sword holders, you should be good. Okie doo, there it is. A blade of the finest bone plastic. Oh God, I'm gonna have to change the tolerances on that one too. You can see here, I just did not want to come together all the way for whatever reason. Okay, first, to talk about the orientation for this. This is the top, this is the bottom. The groove in the switch should be facing this part right here, this sticky outy bit. So this right here is sticking out. The groove should be facing that. And this is the top, and it goes down right there. Now what we're going to do is let the switch hang out here. So the switch is hanging out here. If you haven't already put the thick switch pin in there, we'll glue it like that. And then, hold up, what we're going to do is we're going to take the main long pins, the remaining 4 of them, and we're going to put them in like this. And then We're going to insert, remember the top is up, the top is the same side as the design. And we're going to put this on. We're going to insert all 4 pegs in there. And we're going to slide that on. And what we're going to do is, we're not going to put it all the way in. We're going to slide it on to the point where these two can meet. And we're going to glue these two together first. Make sure there's absolutely no squeeze out because we do not want this thing gluing itself to the main body. Remember, the switch and the main body are not glued at all. I cannot stress that enough. It needs to be able to move freely. So make sure there's no squeeze out. Make sure those are glued all fine. You might want to just glue this first and then let it dry, put it in, and then glue all up and around this and then squeeze it shut. Okay? So now I'm going to do that. Okay, we've gotten to the point where my desk can't really contain it in any stretch of the imagination. Oh god. So let's adjust this somehow. Okay. So, next thing we're going to do, now that the main body 5, top and bottom, are on, we're going to slide the sword. Oh my god. I'm going to have to open my freaking door because it goes in the next room. We're going to slide the sword blade on. So we're going to slide it on the opposite side from the axe. You can see the axe blade right here. Opposite side. And we're going to slide it with the blade pointing inwards. So here's the point of the blade. This is going to go in. So we're just going to slide it in like this. Nice and flat. And we can slide that all the way down to about there, I believe. No, I can go down farther than that. There we go. There we go. Ta-da! Okay. No glue. No glue, no glue, no glue. All right, we're nearing the end. So we've got this assembled. It's totally not broken or anything. We're going to put it in so that the short pegs, the short pins, are facing the axe blade, and the long ones are facing the sword blade. One trick that I do, if I think I've got some glue maybe on the pulley, or any part really that's not supposed to be glued, I just kind of spin it and move it around. And even if there's glue on, even if there's some glue on it, if you keep doing this while the glue is drying, the glue won't have any time to stick anywhere, and it will dry with this still being free. Okay, angle change. We got the last 2 pieces, and oh frick, we're gonna need some rubber bands too. Hold up. All right. Latch 1, latch 2, although they're identical, so it doesn't really matter, I don't think. And a rubber band for each of them. So, latch 1 is going to be the one closest to the handle, or closer to the handle. I'm just going to insert these in like this, but you want to make sure, that the slant, you see it's slanted right here, that the slant, the slope side, is facing the tip. What's going to happen is we're going to slide the sword blade in like this, right? It's going to move out of the way and then snap in and block the sword blade so it doesn't go swinging away. It's going to latch it into place, all right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to take it and we're just going to insert it in here. Easy. And then we're going to take latch 2. And then we're going to insert it, the same orientation, in here. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay? And then we're going to wrap a rubber band around there. You might want something long and pointy to get in there. Hold on. I'll do it and I'll show you what it's like. Ugh. All right, so it should look something like this. And you know how I said you needed 2 rubber bands? I lied! They're on the other side too. I'm a freaking idiot. I forgot. It's my own dang creation, and I forgot. What the heck? Okay, so as I alluded, there's a couple more on the other side, just to keep it balanced so it's not like shifting like this and only has one side pushing it. Although, I don't think it would be that bad. Anyway, so there it is. Doubled up there. One thing you want to make sure of is that it's not riding up like this, because the axe blade has got to pass over it. So you want to make sure it's nice and tucked down like that. Now, what is the purpose of these things? Well, I'm grabbing the switch ring right now, and I'm manipulating the switch. So when I move these back and forth, you can see when I push it all the way up, this thing moves over. And when I pull it all the way back, that thing moves over, right? You see I'm moving it back, that thing's moving. That thing moves over, and so does the latch there. So what this does is, this latch sticks out and it blocks the sword blade from moving. So we're going to move on to the next and final step, and then I'll show you exactly how it's supposed to work. Okay, we have reached the final piece of the puzzle. You see that latch in there? Kind of a hook thing. We're going to hook a rubber band, or maybe a chain of rubber bands, I don't know, to there, and to the sword blade. Okay? So, I just need to get the sword blade to move around in its track. So, we're just going to watch as I try to struggle and do that. The pommel's sitting on the ground. The pommel's on the ground. Okay, you see that? My ceiling is too short to house the entire thing. I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, what do I say? Okay, separate thing I forgot to mention. There's not much of anything holding these two things together, right? There's only the glue between these two, and that's it. So I forgot to mention, you gotta glue this crack shut. Let me get in closer in there. So this crack right here, there's nothing gluing these things together. So you gotta put glue in there. Completely forgot that step. Hey, trust me. Just make sure you wipe off any of the squeeze out. You don't want anything sticking out that might impede the progress of the sword itself. All right, we're nearing the end, and I'm getting more and more frazzled. So that hook I showed you earlier hooks into... I'm just going to throw up on screen a picture of the render of the thing that I want you to hook it to. But basically, this right here is the final stop for the blade itself. So basically, we want a rubber band that can stretch from this hook all the way to here. And the theory is it can stretch all the way around the other side. And then once we let the blade go free by using the switch to activate these latches, it will come back and hit against this one. That's the idea, you know. That's the idea. Oh! Okay. I can barely hold this when it's in the easiest to hold mode. Okay, I'm going to rest it on the bed here. Oh. So here's how it works. There are 3 modes that it can be in, dictated by this switch right here. Now, this is currently what I like to call storage mode. This is what it looks like when it's on the hunter's back. But this switch, depending on whether or not if it's pushed all the way in or pulled all the way out, can change what this thing can transform into. Now, like I said, there are 3 modes. There's a storage mode, there's an axe mode, and a sword mode. So how do we get each one of the modes? Well, if you want to turn it into axe mode, you push the switch in all the way in. So in pushing it all the way in, it allows, theoretically, the axe part to freely slide down. There we go. And then it's free to slide all the way to the bottom. And it can go all the way down here. Ugh, to the end. Now, if we look back at the start, we can see there was a big old hole where the axe was. And if you slide this down, it's blocked off. So if this is in the middle position, this is blocked off, and the axe can't enter, but it also can't leave once it's there. And sliding all the way down or all the way up frees it up. Now, another thing that pushing it all the way in does, let's take a look at this latch. It's released. But if we slide it back, it hooks back in place. Push it in, it releases. Slide it back, it goes back into place. So if we want to release it, that allows, theoretically, this rubber band here to pull it around. Now, this rubber band is far too weak compared to the actual friction forces and the weight involved here, so it's not going to do it, so we got to do it manually. We push that down. Huh? And then there's another latch down here where it hooks into place. I really shouldn't try to pick this up. No, no, no. It is too heavy. It's going to snap itself in pieces. I can't. I can hear it crackling. Anyway, if we wanted to get into sword mode, we'll pull this back. Ka-chunk all the way. And this does a couple things. One, you can see if I pull it all the way back. Now, if we look here, there's a tiny little tab where the axe was. When it went into place, when it slid all the way down, this guy popped up, blocked it in place. So now it's locked down here. But if I pull the lever, if I pull the switch all the way, it comes down. And, see, not pulled, pulled. And this latch also frees up. So pulling the switch all the way back frees up this latch, allowing this, by the power of gravity, if you're actually holding it, to slide back into place. And here's where the really cool part happens. You ready? Down here, this thing can slide all the way down and rotate a full 180 degrees. Oh God, I'm running out of space. Around, and then stop right there. And then you can return the switch to the middle position. And then this entire thing is locked into place. There's a rubber band keeping that down as far as possible, and there's a big old plastic thing locking this in place. So that's sword mode. So this, my friends, is a real-life, operational switch axe. Oh my God, those monster hunters must be taking so many steroids. Okay, that is done somehow. I did want to finish this up posing with it, but, well, let's talk about where it went wrong. And there's really one theme that I think messed this whole thing up, and that's weight, right? Overall, it's so dang big and takes so much plastic that it's just really expensive to print and, well, you know, just doesn't work. And I don't think it really can work in its current form anyway. Because you saw it. It's supposed to be something that you just hold in your hand, you tilt down a bit, and you push it in, and it goes from storage mode to axe mode, and then you tilt it up, and then pull your hand down a bit, and then it goes from axe mode to sword mode. And structurally, it actually could do it, but because it's so heavy, one, you can't really hold it, and two, the friction involved makes it so that the amount of force it would take to move the pieces along their paths is just much more than you can reasonably expect to put in with some rubber bands or even an exercise band. I feel like it would break the pulley before it would actually cause the thing to move properly. There's a lot that I could fix by just like adjusting the way that I put the thing together. For example, if I melted the pieces together and sanded them so that there was always a smooth transition. One thing I ran into was that the junction between pieces wasn't perfect. Maybe it was a little bit like this. And so it would run in and catch on things as things were moving. So if I sealed those down, it might not be the case. But I think honestly, the best way to quote unquote fix this would be to print in a much stronger material and with a much, much larger printer. To print some of these pieces together so that we don't need to have a whole bunch of like different rods and stuff running through. Either that or use PVC or something along the entire length for strength instead of using really thick, comparatively heavy pegs. Overall, though, I really have to call it there. As much as I want to push away at this project and make it that much better, the fact of the matter is, this is a hobby and not my job. I am an English teacher living on a remote island in Japan. I have a teacher's salary. I work 35 hours a week. I don't have enough time or money or, let's be honest, space to deal with a 2+ meter long weapon like that. So I'll be putting it to rest there. I'll be uploading it once I make the little tiny tweaks that I can make to make it easier for you all to build it. I am more than satisfied with how this turned out. I did not think for a moment that I was going to make a complete workable product, but I got really, really far for where I am and who I am and the resources that I have. So I will be putting this to rest, and I will not be revisiting it until one of two things happen. One, I get 100K subscribers. I don't even have 400 at this point. But if I were to someday achieve that, I'm pretty sure I would be on my way to making this a full-time thing if I haven't already. So then I would feel comfortable dedicating the time to actually finishing it. And two, if someone wants to help me or collab with me or sponsor me or whatever, I would love to talk to you about it. If you are somebody who wants to take this project and make it their own, please contact me, carlthepumpkinman@gmail.com. We'll set up a time. I would be more than happy to work with you on that. But until that day comes, I'm really proud of how it turned out, even if it's not perfect. And yeah, I'll see you on the next project. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.